Welcome! In this video we're going to do an unboxing and component overview of Unfathomable, a game of hidden loyalties and suspicion for 3 to 6 players and published by Fantasy Flight Games. So down at the table, this game is a re-implementation of one of my favorite games of all time, Battlestar Galactica. It's been out over a decade ago, but hard to get a hold of and of course out of print. So this takes that game, throws another theme on it, and in my opinion does tighten up some of the mechanics. So you see this is a game for 3 to 6 players. Looking on the back, takes about 2 to 4 hours. So yes, this is a long game, and it's one of the very few games that I do enjoy playing that takes that long. Looking on the back, horror on the high seas. The steamship Atlantica makes way to Boston, but dark shadows trail the ship. Staying just out of sight beneath the waves, your fellow passengers seem unnaturally fixated, staring out to the sea with a silent, desperate longing. Your dreams are plagued by eerie underwater nightmares, and now a passenger has been murdered. Suspicion, hidden loyalties, and devious strategy rule the day. Unfathomable puts you and your friends in command of a steamship, but not all of you can be trusted. While monstrous deep ones stream forth from the crushing ocean depth, any player could secretly be a nefarious cultist or horrifying hybrid deep one. Don't turn your back on anyone. It'll take all your cunning to save your ship from the watery grave. Battle swarming deep ones and cover the traitors and steer the Atlanta safely home to Unfathomable. So let's go ahead and take a look inside here. So we've got our Learn to Play guide and then their rules reference. So quick reference on the back of the sheet going over icons, activating monsters, how you distribute loyalty cards. So 28 pages. Go over the setting, all the components we'll see, first game setup, suggested characters, so just giving a brief overview of playing the game and everything you'll go through. Skill checks, damages, risking passengers, traders of course, and secrecy and some clarifications there. And the rules reference is just going to be an alphabetical reference for all the other rules. Have an index on the back. Opening up, like I said, just alphabetical. If you're not sure of a term or name, you can find everything you need to know there. And see, you got some appendices in here and just another overview of setup. And a little flyer on the books they have published. And a video game. And we've got a punch board and their main board, it looks, and their typical tunnel with a whole lot of cards, our characters and standees, and underneath here some hidden miniatures. So we'll start by taking a look at these fellas. So Mother Hydra, nice detailed miniature. And Father Dagon. And then we're going to have a whole lot of deep ones. Just pour those guys out there. And just a closer look at those. So 20 of them that'll be jumping on our ship, whether we want them to or not. Then in this bag, got our standees for our player characters. Some dials we'll be using to finish putting the board together, and hopefully a lucky and trusty D8. All right, we'll put these aside. Open up our punch board. So here we have our player characters, dials, passenger tokens, first player token, some trader rings, so there's no chance of mistaking them once they've been identified, and some tracker tokens. And on the back side, see they punch out pretty easily. You see the thickness on that, standard FFG thickness there. Then we've got our board. And that is going to be unfoldable into several sections. So we'll zoom out and get a better look here. And here's the board all laid out. I did affix the dials on that. The start of the game, each of those will be set to 8. We have fuel, food, sanity, and souls. If any of those tracks get down to 0, all the human players will lose. Next, we have the travel track and the ritual track. Each of these will start on the start spot. As they progress on, when you arrive, you'll see how further you've gone on your quest to getting the ship back to Boston. And when the ritual gets cast, it's going to both help and possibly hurt our crew members here. Over here is where we'll stack the chaos deck, which is going to be 2 from each of these stacks of cards and treachery. Then we have the deep, where a lot of monsters will be before they start attacking us from around the edge of the ship. Then the ship itself, we have our deck spaces around the edge and then our interior spaces here. And one nice thing about this one, it does give a guide to hand to each player going over each of the actions of the different areas on the ship. And on the back, some basic things: human unrevealed traitor turn structure, how attacking works, brig rules, and revealing as a traitor, all handy on these cards. We also have cards for activating our monsters and reveal traitor roles and advancing tracks and so forth. Then at the bottom, we do have a row for a bunch of our smaller cards, a bunch of skill cards. See what they are on the back. So we've got influence, lore, preparation, strength, and will, and treachery. So each of these stacks will be shuffled and hidden down. Then we'll take 2 of each of those to make the chaos deck. Take a closer look at those here in a bit. We also have damage cards for when the ship does get damaged, so fleeing passengers, flooded food stores, a fuel leak, structural damage, more structural damage. So basically it's telling you where to place it and the action to fix. So lots of structural damage. It takes different skills to fix. And a whole lot of items, an almanac, the Book of Dagon, some fine clothes, kitchen knife, a medicine ball, pocket pistol, a shotgun, speaking trumpet, travel pharmacy, and a treasured memento. And of course, we're going to want to see our characters we can play. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 of those. So we've got the captain. So on here, it's going to give us her name, her special abilities, and what happens if we reveal as a traitor, our title, and the types of cards we draw on our turn. So that's the captain. And of course, on the back, our starting space on the board and starting item in just some flavor text. So the first mate, the ship's surgeon, and her story, the engineer, master at arms, the apprentice, mathematician, the exile, the jinx, and the stowaway. Of course, they all come with their standees over there, and they all have their special feat card. So an unconventional leader, self-sacrifice, medical intervention, full steam ahead, an arrest order, quick cast, perfect number, deep on ancestry, uncanny fortune, and well-equipped. And once you've picked your characters, we'll determine which one will be the captain and the keeper of the tome. And they've got the line of succession on the back. So you can look at that and see who's higher up on the list to take these titles. Of course, the keeper of the tome is going to be able to play some spells. And the captain, when you arrive on the travel fleet, will pick the waypoint card to use. So the waypoints is just going to show you the amounts of travel you've gone before you get to the mid of the game to get your second hidden roll cards. So some rolling seas, some rough waters, some smooth sailing, and a wrecked ship. And the spells the keeper will be able to cast. Some astral travel, calling some friends, a dark pact, foresee, greater banishment, plague of locusts, summon fire, and the voice of Ra. And of course our loyalty stack is going to let us know if we're human. So if you have only human loyalty cards, you win the game if the human objective is met, which is pretty much getting to Boston and not letting the ship get destroyed or lose anything on those tracks up there. Then we have the hybrid. Game ends before the human objective is met. You win the game, even if you have one or more human loyalty cards. And of course the cultist. Difficult to play. So you want the game to go on for a certain part, but eventually you do want the humans to lose. So each one of the players will have one of those hidden. Then we have the mythos stack. So each of these cards is going to determine the bad or the worst stuff that happens at the end of the turn, whether it's just someone chooses the top or the bottom, or if people need to contribute towards a test to see if they can pass or if not. And at the bottom, it's going to let you know what monsters come out and what tracks will go forward. So lots of variability of, like I said, none of these are good. It's just bad or worse in here and how well you can adapt to it. And hopefully figure out who amongst you is human and who's trying to sabotage your mission. So as I said before, Battlestar Galactica is probably one of my favorite games of all time. And this is just bringing it to a different theme. Then coming back to our skill cards. So over here we have our influence. So each of these is going to let us know how many points are contributed towards a test. So up here is going to let us know what we need to meet and which cards are going to be positive, and all the ones not shown will be negative in that test. So we can give an inspiring speech. So a lot of these are duplicate cards, just different numbers on them. We've got nothing to hide. And then a coordinated effort. Then for lore, forced learning, some lesser banishment, and some shriveling. Then preparation, some keen insight, and watch and learn. And for strength, we can shrug it off, rampage, and some combat training. And then for will, we've got some true grit, determination, and persistence. And lastly, on the other side of the board are treachery cards, performing rites, ransack, a siren song, call to action, and reinforcements. Of course, we do have some passengers we're trying to protect, so if these get destroyed by monsters, most of them we're just losing souls. And the trader rings, which will fit over standees. So when someone reveals, you can be sure you know where they are on the board. And our first player token. So that is everything in Unfathomable. As always, I hope you enjoyed this unboxing. If so, please click on the like button below and be sure to subscribe. Thanks for watching.